Yeah, well, I don't know. Got a lot of strange things going on here. Hi guys. So it's this is called technical difficulty night. So Jason is wrapped up in things. I'm sure he'll be back. Just got to give it a little more time. And yeah, so here it is. So Wednesday, May 13th, the year of our Lord 2026. And the AKT News, half of this fabulous joint venture with Common Sense News and Entertainment, is on board. Yes, on board indeed. So let me just, sometimes it's interesting to start with something that's pretty lurid, right? Well, I consider this lurid. How many of you out there have heard about the Iranian commandos who got caught by, of all people, the Kuwaitis? What? Highly trained, highly skilled Iranian commandos. They got caught by the friggin' Kuwaitis on some island, Basham Island. So Basham Island's like in this corner, right, where you know where Kuwait is. That's kind of shares common borders with Iraq and Iran, as well as Kuwait. So what the heck were they doing there? What were they supposed to accomplish? What, take over the island? This does not exactly sound to me like something strategic. How you doing now, Jason?
Better.
All right. I feel better too.
I got to tell you,
And we're live,
I
by
just
the
had to
way.
shut my computer down and turn it right back on, and it worked. I mean, it's
Yeah,
like every night,
I have a similar problem with our TV system.
whatever that noise is out there, honey, you got to turn it down, please. Thank
Yeah,
you.
so you got. Let
Yeah,
me
you
tell
did.
you about it. All right. Well, I'm live, so why don't you go live, and then
I'm
we'll
gonna
get
go
into
live
it.
too. Here, we're going live on
All right,
Facebook right
go
now
for it. Okay.
with what I got left.
Yeah, still got to do
I'll
Rumble,
be
and
up
then
till
we'll
3 in the
just
morning, easily doing work tonight. So we got to do this quick.
well, quick, compress time into a
Compressed,
box.
yeah. Okay, we're live on Facebook. Here we are. Somehow we made it here on to this Wednesday, May 13th, 2026. I'm here with Cora Ratnowski and Yankee Tunes once again.
Yeah.
And it's amazing in the line of work of investigative work how it can go. Like for about couple of weeks, it was
In
really
the house, DJ. All right, DJ Ricky's in the
it
house.
was busy,
Yeah.
but now we're really really busy. I mean, just out of control.
Well, you were hinting at that the other day, right?
Yeah, like I said,
Yeah.
I should probably be working. I have this medical malpractice case I'm working on. It's going to take some time,
Yeah.
and
Those are
I
usually
got
bad,
to
right?
type up a big report, and I'm dreading it. I'm going to be tired, and I have to do it tonight. So
All right. Well, if we need to cut it off a little early, we'll do
we'll see
that.
how it goes. Let's talk about what happened with Iran now. Tell me what's going on with this.
Well,
I'm
I
not up to
told you
date
about
today.
the commandos. This is it's if it wouldn't be so sad if it wasn't so funny. I can't, So here's the news. What were they thinking? That's my first question. What were these dummies thinking?
Were they bailing on their own country? Tell me what happened.
I just All right. So you have this island. I didn't pull up the map for it. I should have. Sorry, because I want to focus on the Caspian Sea later. So the issue here was that these people, I don't even know how many, let's just assume there could have been 20, 30, 50 of them. So they decide to attack this island, Besham, BESM Island. So Besham Island is close off the coast of Kuwait, but you've got three countries nestled there in that upper corner of the Persian Gulf. You got Kuwait, Iraq, and Iran, and apparently they all share common borders, which was a little bit of a shock. All right, so
I didn't
I'm
know
trying to
Kuwait
sort
shared a
this
border
out.
with Iran.
Sorry,
I didn't think Kuwait shared a border with Iran. I thought they were the
I
other
didn't
side of the
either. I didn't either, but apparently they do.
I'll have to take another
Okay,
look
so
at that.
is there a territorial dispute? Quite frankly, ladies and gentlemen, given the situation, and that is America breathing down Iran's neck, that they should decide they have to go after have a territorial claim for an island with Kuwait and decide to prosecute it at this time. This is stupid. Okay, for all the things I like to say nicely about Iran, this is not one of them.
Unless they got something stashed on the island we don't know about.
Yeah.
So what happened with these people that there were some Iranian officials that were killed while they were in another country? Is that what you were telling me earlier?
No.
By the way, we have a problem with our feed. You're freezing. I don't even see you moving at all. You freeze for like 10, 20 seconds. And you move
Really?
again for a minute and you're frozen again.
Oh boy.
I don't know if that people are seeing that or not. But I can hear you still fine, but
Okay. Well, all right, then maybe I shouldn't move so much.
that's how we solve the problem.
Yeah.
That's like when we're watching. I like to watch Jeopardy reruns, and I use the
Jeopardy rerun.
I use the DVR to fast forward to the questions, and sometimes when I do it, it freezes.
Yeah.
And it'll freeze. It'll lock me out of the whole system, and it literally makes me wait like 10 minutes before I can log back into it, which I find very offensive.
I hate to say it, but this is one of the failures of digital technology. Okay,
it's like being given a timeout.
The memory management part of digital technology.
Yeah.
Still,
then my girl will say, she'll say, "Well, you're not supposed to push the remote too much. You're not supposed to push the fast forward button too much."
No.
That reminds me of
old wives' tale.
You're not supposed to. Wait, the feed isn't good, so I guess I shouldn't move.
Yeah. All right. So let me finish off this Iranian story.
Let's get back into Iran.
Here. Okay.
Okay.
So you've got Iran attacking Kuwait, going after this island, and these dummies get captured. So who knows what happens next? Of course, the Iranian government is all upset, but they should feel embarrassed more than upset. So I guess they'll have to be cutting some deals with each other. Meantime,
they're upset because they're embarrassed.
Okay. Meantime, we talked the other night about how the United Arab Emirates have been joining in with the Americans in some secret attacks. Now, the problem, at some point, can I just restate? I'm going to keep saying it over and over again. There's so much going on for which you and I have no idea. Okay, so they give us the shiny thing. All right, the shiny thing is what was it? An F-4 jet owned by Kuwait that attacked an island of Iran. And so now, whoa, look at this. The UAE is attacking Iran too. Well, okay. How about
retaliation?
Yeah.
Well, weren't they attacked by Iran initially?
What about the ground troops? Okay. Because I'm thinking we've got covert ground operations going on and ain't nobody talking.
Good.
Ain't nobody talking.
Right? I hope so.
It stands to reason. So, all right. So let's hold that for the moment. I know we're going to
doing covert operations in our country, so why shouldn't we do it in theirs?
All right. Let me shift now to something that's not being talked about with respect to China. There was a news piece. This should be having people jump up and down. Okay, the last time, this is to paint the picture, the last time Trump went to China, he had support equipment brought. He used 2 C-17 cargo planes. Those are big suckers. They're not the biggest, but they're big. The C-17 cargo planes. Are you ready for how many cargo planes he brought this time?
2 last time, you said?
2.
6.
17.
Whoa.
Yes. So the
what
media.
What are all these cargo planes that he's bringing to China? I don't get that.
Okay, I have 2 theories. Not just one, but 2, and we'll get to them.
And build a golf course there?
Don't worry. So the media shows all these American trucks.
He's going to build a ballroom there.
And tell you these cars, some of them are just like, these black SUVs, but they're like little trucks, but they have these black things on top. They're sort of oblong shaped. Okay, what are black oblong shapes doing on top of a truck that is from America, but it's in communist China? And there's a bunch of these. I'm not understanding this. These came in on what? 17 cargo planes? So there's more of them?
Maybe we're taking over China.
Well, the boss has shown up in town, okay? And he's telling them who's boss. There's that. And by the way, whoever you are, good flow yoga, I haven't forgotten about you. We're going to get back to your comments that you sent me. Don't worry. You ain't getting away with it. All right? Okay. So now quickly, my 2 theories. So theory number 1 is you have to be reminded that China, especially out in the streets, is the most surveilled country in the world. Okay. You can walk down one street and you got 20 of these stupid surveillance cameras spotting you every which way you turn. All right. And then we're told about just how much you're surveilled in your hotel room. There's a problem. Okay. So, theory number one.
This is urban areas, though, right?
Well, but guess where we are? We're not exactly hanging out in the rice paddies in Xinjiang province.
No, I understand.
Okay. So, these are anti-jamming devices, so we can communicate with the other without being interfered with by the Chinese surveillance system. That's theory number one. Okay, you're gonna like theory number two a lot more.
Okay, it could be both, by the way.
Oh, theory number two. Ooh. All right, here's the setup. I'm gonna go back in time briefly and remind you that the CIA distributed tens of thousands of leaflets just scattered around. Okay, in Iran.
Mm-hmm.
The CIA has put out several videos that ended up on Chinese airwaves, inviting them to volunteer to join the CIA.
By Chinese citizens to join the CIA?
Correct.
Oh, wow.
Oh, and if you happen to be the member of the government, that's a bonus. We'll take it.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
We're looking for double agents.
We have some problems, maybe sometimes, communicating with some of these people who want to help out the CIA. But hey, guess what? We brought some special equipment here to enable you to communicate with us.
Interesting.
Okay, so how that works, I'm not exactly sure. There are more than a few
I don't know if the Chinese
theory.
I don't know how the Chinese would take that, but
these things, they're not going to exactly sit in a garage. They're going to be driving around. For what? Okay, so my fertile brain can't help but conjecture these things. This is a intelligence collection information that it could not be more in your face. Actually, having Chinese media and inviting people to join the CIA, that's getting in your face. All right.
I'll say so.
Yes. So
this
is right up there as far as I'm concerned.
It could be both, by the way.
Sorry?
Could be both theory A and theory B.
Well, yeah, sure.
But speaking of China, I don't know if you heard
the reason through this.
I don't know if you heard today about the whistleblower testified about the COVID-19 today.
Okay, this was Paul Torsen.
Yes.
Right, Paul Torsen. Yeah,
he's a CIA operative, and he has come forth with a lot of information about the damning Dr. Fauci, who, by the way, the legality of pardoning somebody before they've been charged with a crime, that should be looked at.
Okay, that's a
whole other subject. But let me say this, though.
Yeah.
There's all this talk about the COVID-19 having been launched from a lab in Wuhan, or the other theory is that it organically developed in China. But most of the people seem to agree that it started in China.
No, it started in the lab.
In a lab in China, in Wuhan. Right?
Okay, you got to focus here. You're talking to a biology guy. Okay, so we make these statements. You got to be a little more precise. All right, these are engineered viruses that were made in the Wuhan laboratory.
Okay, in China.
Right.
Okay, so now I have a theory, though. My theory, I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. My theory, what I think is the truth about the COVID-19 that nobody knows yet, and someday we'll all figure out. My theory exonerates China, actually. It takes China out of it. Even if it originated in China.
Okay.
Even if it originated in China, it puts my theory puts the blame square on the Democratic Party.
Okay.
Here in this country.
So here's the problem. Let's say instead of talking about a virus, let's talk about a car. Somebody comes up with a really cool souped up model hot rod. And let's just say that this souped up hot rod was made in a lab in America. I don't know, Fort Detrick in Maryland. There, that one comes to mind.
All right.
Okay, well, now that souped up car gets sent to the Wuhan laboratory. They receive this really cool souped up car. Mm-hmm. But it's somebody in the Wuhan laboratory that pulls a few tricks with the carburetor and now you've got yourself one killer of a vehicle.
You got a
All
Christine.
right. All right. So who's to blame?
Right.
Both,
So
I would say. Yeah.
my theory is that this COVID-19 virus was never any more dangerous than any other flu bug.
Well, no.
In other
That would
words,
not
the
be true.
epidemic never actually happened.
No.
It was
No.
simply, it was simply public.
No. We got.
Pumped up.
Let me again allow
It
me
was a
to
made up story.
No. Let me paint the picture here for you. The COVID virus,
19.
from day one, has all, and when I'm going back to the 60s, has always been a sort of holy grail for vaccine technology. All right. The idea that you would take something like this and develop a vaccine for that was like, babe, we're badass if we can stop a COVID virus. And why? The reason is that COVID viruses mutate quickly. They mutate a lot. So when you're dealing with a virus that mutates a lot, it is essentially impossible, all right, to come up with a vaccine that's going to stop a virus that mutates a lot. So they thought they were being clever, excuse me, when they came up with mRNA technology. Okay. And at least in the way that it was sold to us, which means a lot of things were left out, the notion was you would use the body as a constant vaccine production factory that would keep up with the mutations, essentially.
It sounds
in
like
the
a
COVID
horrible
virus.
idea.
What?
Sounds like a horrible idea on the first surface of it.
Well, I can see these. If you're ignorant about certain things, I could see them sitting around and liking an idea like that. But these are guys who's the smartest biologists, smartest biomedical researchers in the world. And, you know, if I'm trying to come up with a benign explanation, which puts me right here, okay, then, you
It
know.
sounds like a good idea if you want to ruin somebody's immune system, quite frankly.
Well,
I know how the immune system works. It
okay,
works on its own merits.
There are a couple of things. I mean, but this, you know, we're entering into a very, the shot was a bioweapon. Yes, I know.
That doesn't discount my theory, though, that the COVID, there's no such thing as a souped-up COVID-19 that was more deadly than any other flu bug.
No,
it was just
that's just not true. No,
it was just a story. Just a story.
I will explain. There is a protein. It's spelled Furin, furin, a furin protein. Mm-hmm. It's a protein. A lot of biological functions, but one of them, okay, is to basically help, shall we say, penetrate a cell in order to inject viral material into the cell in order to infect it. Okay? Furin proteins, to the best of my knowledge, do not occur naturally with COVID viruses. The furin protein had to be engineered and added to it to make it more deadly.
But it didn't kill any more people.
That would be incorrect.
Well, no, if you take away all the rigged data from all the hospitals and all the way they did all that.
Okay. I think maybe your problem is you're just focusing on America. Okay.
I am focusing on America.
You have to look at what happened in China. And, you know, we can complain all we want about how America is a victim of this virus that was released from a laboratory in Wuhan. And we can look to evidence that showed that the Chinese knew what they were doing and they were trying to, what is he correct about? Somebody thinks you're correct. Who is this person? Yeah, DJ Ricky. So
thank you, DJ Ricky.
Yes.
This is just a big,
again, the point is you have to go back. No, you have to go back to what happened in China. What we don't realize is that the COVID virus, the engineered COVID virus, COVID-19, was far more devastating in China than in America. Okay?
Well, there's a lot more people in China.
There are so many stories about all these crematoriums, all these body bags, all these people that were disappearing. Look, there's a whole thing here. Where is this PDF file? Oh, there. Is that it? I don't know. What is that? I can't tell.
One thing I can tell you for sure, this thing started in the Democratic Party. It didn't start in, I can read it.
What? There's a PDF file?
Thing. That's the first time I've ever seen that.
Okay, so you can see it, but I mean, he
I can see
mentions
it
that
now,
it's
yeah.
posted, but I don't see how to.
But listen, however it was done, let
Yeah,
me put it this way, whether it was done with a real souped up virus or not,
I wish we could get him in on this
the
so he
COVID
could
19
explain.
pandemic, the idea for the COVID 19 pandemic was hatched in someone's mind, not in a lab, and it was the
Wait,
Democratic Party.
what? Say that again?
The COVID 19 pandemic, the whole notion of it started in someone's mind, not in
No.
a lab. And then the story came
All
after
right.
that.
Okay, I've
The
told
numbers
you
don't
about.
prove it. What about the placebo effect? You don't want to count the placebo effect when you go on TV and you
Placebo
tell
effect.
people they're
What's
going to
that got
die?
to do with this?
The placebo effect has everything to do with this.
Do you think you're sick or you think you're getting well?
When you're sick and you got the flu, if you're an older person, you got the flu, and you might get over it. But if you're told on TV that you have this extra deadly thing that you're gonna kill you, more people are gonna die because of that, because of the psychosomatics involved. And then you take away the way the hospitals cook the books with the numbers so bad.
No, no.
It pares it right down. Maybe I am focused on the United States, but look,
you're permitted to have your crazy moment. This is one of your crazy moments. Okay.
even if I grant you that there is a souped up virus, even if I grant you that,
Grant,
that still doesn't change my. Even if I say you're right
what
about
makes
that,
you think it isn't?
I think the COVID-19 is just another flu bug. That's all. I don't think there's anything
First of
unreasonable about it.
all,
Just pumped up by the media. That's all.
No, all right, DJ Ricky, it's not all right. Look, I'm pulling rank here. Okay, 30 years. 30 years as a biotech analyst over here.
Okay, yeah, I definitely respect
Spent
that.
a lot of time on this, consulted a lot of people, read a lot of papers, and so I firmly believe that I have a sense of the events and how they're related. Okay, which also means I can tell when people are getting off track. And unfortunately, Jason is off track.
Even if I grant you that is true.
What grant? I don't know. I'm having a problem with this grant stuff.
Okay, even if it's true, forget the word
grant. The papers
grant.
are there. The evidence is there. What is to grant? The research is done. The evidence is there.
You're right. Even if you're right, okay, doesn't mean that my theory is wrong. This idea of creating a pandemic in the minds of the people of the United States was hatched by the Democratic Party, and maybe they saw the opportunity in Wuhan. And they overdid it. They overdid it in the media. Here it comes across the ocean. Here it comes. That was not necessary. All the shutdown, all that stuff was not necessary.
I'm still shaking my head. Okay, I will have to send you the link. You will need to find. I know you're busy.
Should have happened.
I know you're busy, but you're going to need to spend some time with a Dr. David Martin.
Do you think shelter in place should have happened?
Shelter in place.
Yeah, I mean, they told everybody to stay home.
All that stuff is ridiculous. Okay,
that shouldn't happen.
All right, Dr. David Martin. You might even need to write the name down, but I'm going to send you the link. Okay? Dr. David Martin is an unsung hero as far as the truth about this is concerned. I know David Martin's works. Good. So DJ Ricky, then why are you defending him? I don't understand this.
I think look, I'm not saying that the COVID-19 virus doesn't exist. I'm not saying that. It does exist, and it's probably a nasty flu bug.
Okay.
And it probably, maybe it was made worse in a lab in China. That's possible. That's certainly, you're saying that. You're an expert. Okay, I'll grant you that. But great, you don't even have the word grant. I'm going along with it. I still think that the way it all happened, the shutdowns, all the way it changed our lives the way it did, was only because of the Democratic Party. I don't think that any of that could. I don't think that, like, let me put it this way: if Obama was president during this time and when this happened, none of the shutdowns would have ever happened.
Okay,
it would have been like the SARS. Remember when the SARS virus came out when Obama was president? That was supposedly targeting children. Remember? Whoa, and that was coming too. Did we shut things down? No. Did we do anything? No. It was a quick passing story. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, a lot of children died from that SARS virus.
All right. All this said, okay.
So that's my point. It was politicized. It was not that serious to where we had to do all that.
Okay, well, I'm not sure that it was
a reminder to everybody to be careful, and that's it.
To say no Republicans were involved in this repressive deceit that was foisted on the American public would be dishonest.
Right? No, unfortunately, the Republican National Committee is of many aspects are very corrupt as well.
We saw it across the board in so many different ways. Okay. The point I want to make about Dr. David Martin, okay, is that he brings the receipts that will show to you quite clearly, Jason, that the quote work on all of this actually dates back to the 1960s.
Okay.
Okay. There's been a series of research advances that kept getting closer and closer. And by the time you got to the 1990s, the late 90s, you had people at the CDC and other places saying, gee, we can start to think about this, all right, because of the technological advances. 2010 PDO. Okay, well, I mean, gee.
Okay, so the virus.
So you got my email. Maybe you could send my email, because I don't know. I just, I'm such an incompetent here when it comes to this thing, because you say make sure I read it, and I don't. Where do I find it? Where is it posted?
Okay, so all right, the virus was real, but the reaction to the virus, the worldwide and domestic reaction to the virus, was fake.
Of course. All right, I don't have that problem. I have no issue with. Okay?
Doesn't that mean, if that's true though, doesn't that mean whatever was coming across the country wasn't as serious as it made it out to be?
That would be incorrect. Okay.
Well, then you can't have it both ways. If it was just as serious as they said, then we certainly.
Are there people who died needlessly?
Sure, though, more people died
so
from isolation, loneliness, and whatnot. And from
I'm talking about misusing the ventilators. A lot of people were killed with the ventilators.
Yeah.
Well, remember how President Trump made a big deal out of those ventilators?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it turned out they killed a lot of people. I remember seeing videos of doctors who were close to tears, okay, because they realized that they were killing the patients with the ventilators, and they didn't have any other medical procedures to turn to. Okay,
so right? Doing the ventilators,
but the other problem was all the other procedures, like the thing with ivermectin and other things, that was all being repressed. The use of vitamin D3, that was being repressed. It was just astonishing.
Oh, recession, repression, it's all the same thing.
So what?
I said, recession, repression, it's all the same thing.
No, let's see.
You know what that's from?
Killed for, yes, that's correct.
That's from Cheech and Chong.
Right. So DJ Ricky reminds us, let me read it. The hospitals killed for profit. They said the numbers please. As he said here, if you got killed in a car crash, but the hospital said you died of COVID, the hospital received $34,000.
Right.
Okay.
Here's another theory. Here's another thing that I'm going to say. Let's say nobody had said anything on the news about the COVID at all. Let's just say the media decided to ignore the story, so nobody knew about it. If that had happened, nobody would have worn masks. Nobody would have isolated. None of that would have happened, and I guarantee you, fewer people would have died.
Okay.
At the end of the year, they would have gone through the statistics, and they would have seen the same number of people die of the flu last year as the year before.
Now, the problem is you're chasing the shiny thing here. Okay, the media is the shiny thing. The media was just an errand boy for a master plan hatched years ago.
Right.
Okay, that's different. Okay, so don't blame the media. Blame the people who created the plan.
Well, I think I do blame the media. I think the media was part of the.
I just said.
Yeah.
What did I just say?
You said don't blame the media.
Media was used by the people who concocted the master plan. Okay?
I'm not that nice to the media. I think it's more than that. I think people at the tops of the echelons of the media were part of the plan.
Fine. People from the media could have been a part of the original master plan. Sure. Okay. If that makes you feel better.
Yeah. The a-holes that run CBS, ABC, that put Jimmy Kimmel out there, those people, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't put it past them.
You forgot the best one of all, Mr. Colbert. Mr. Colbert. The vaccine dance.
Yeah.
Oh, unforgettable in its weirdness. Unforgettable. Yeah. Yes. Well, also who owns the media? Yes. We know there's a lot of concentration of ownership. And yes, it's crazy. Hey, and by the way, GJ Ricky, I wish to assure you that we have no interest in being owned by anybody in the mainstream media. Right, Jason?
No one's buying me out.
Yeah, that's right. Nor me. So there you go.
Although if you give me 10 million, I might take it long.
It's funny. I mean, we see this every so often.
Everyone has his price, but
Liberals would come by when we're doing Tea Party protests, and they say, "You're getting paid by the Koch brothers," and all I could say is, "I wish it were so. I could sure use the money." Yeah. So, all right. Anyway, so I'm trying to square this away here, and the squaring away will be in understanding the narrative is developed by Dr. David Martin. Okay, because understand what happened here. He's a lucky guy. So he has a PhD. He's a consultant. And sometime in the late 90s, early 2000s, he landed a project. Are you ready for this project? He was asked to review, dramatic pause, all US patents. There's over 10 million of them. Okay? So he had a hell of a job. And are you ready for one of his major conclusions? He said a third of the patents are functional forgeries. His words, functional forgeries. What are you going to do with that?
We dug ourselves too big of a hole to get out of.
Yes. Okay. But all right. So that said, now we go back though. So when you start looking at the patent trail, okay, related to COVID-19, a picture very clearly emerges that you had a lot of people who had quite some plans going on for quite some time, and all of it makes perfect sense is setting the stage for what happened when we got subjected to the scamdemic, okay? Patents for the diagnostic tests, patents for the vaccines, patents for the genetic information making up the virus, patents for every goddamn thing you can think of.
You're saying there's evidence out there to indicate premeditation to the pandemic.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
That's surprising.
Okay. Big time. Premeditation that goes back for 20, 30 years. Because this was something that was a problem they wanted to solve. And along the way, somebody gets this bright idea.
My theory is that their plan was based largely on much of a publicity stunt as it was an actual virus.
All right, DJ, I'll make sure that Jason gets that article too.
I'll check out the link. I'll read it. And we'll see if it changes my mind.
Well, it's not a question of changing your mind. I mean, it's just the stuff that he sent. But I don't know. All right. I mean, all right. It's a slight digression. I'm going there. The other thing is that the PCR test that was used, every week they would say X number of people were diagnosed with COVID.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah, I remember the number would climb and climb.
Total scam. Total scam. Okay?
I'm not surprised.
All right. And just give me 30 seconds to explain the scam. All right. Part one was that one day in January of 2020, yes, there did exist the actual viral samples of the COVID-19 virus. All right.
Yeah, because I had it in February.
Okay. And
I think I did.
Okay. But the Chinese government in January of 2020 said you will destroy all those samples. So now there was no what's called a reference sample in medicine of the actual virus. Okay. Meantime, people are getting sick. But by the rules of the game, they want to find, who's patient zero? Where's the first sample? Where's the first evidence? That was destroyed. Okay. So now, meantime, you have at least I'll say in the American biomedical establishment, this desperate grasp, this panic. Okay. We have to be able to prove this is to feed what you're saying, by the way. Okay. This is a much more sophisticated version of what you're saying. They had to have a system. You had to have the testing. You had to have the diagnosis. You had to have the cases. You had to have all those things in place so that the media could get on the news and tell you every night, somebody got sick, somebody died, these are the trends, blah, blah, blah. Okay. They needed.
Okay. So they put that protein you were talking about into the virus.
No.
Well, you mentioned something about there's a certain protein
Yeah,
that doesn't
no,
occur
there's another
naturally.
part to this. I'm trying to explain the other part of this. Okay, just to say it. So the simple version when I say PCR is think of a Xerox machine on steroids. Okay, because what you're doing is you're making copies over and over and over again of a particular set of DNA sequences. Okay, so far so good.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The problem was we didn't have the original virus sample to make copies of in order to do a diagnosis. So what were we going to do? A gentleman in Germany took some samples, okay, which were suspected to be the type they're talking about, and he put together. So what you see, the problem is you have to culture viral cells. They have to grow in something. And so he had to go find some other kind of cell line in which to grow this that had nothing to do with COVID-19. But he cobbled this whole thing together. And this was a phony reference standard for diagnosing for COVID. Okay. All right. That's that platform. Meantime, you have all these patients who are showing up sick. They're taking blood samples and they're trying to analyze it. And they're putting it through the PCR machine. Remember, the Xerox machine on steroids.
Mm-hmm.
And because of this, they were getting what were false positive results. Okay. In other words, results that looked like COVID, but weren't really COVID. Right? They
Thus beefing the numbers up
weren't
even
really
more.
COVID because of the overcopying. And they weren't really COVID because the real COVID samples got destroyed back in January. And this guy in Germany came up with this fake test to take its place. And of course, the system had to push this. So they just kept going with it. Right. So long story short, by the way, a number of people knew that this PCR test was a scam. It was by July of that year that you actually had the FDA backing off and saying, well, this PCR test we had, yeah, it can't really tell the difference between a flu virus and COVID. Yeah, we're having a problem there. Yeah. Okay. Doesn't that support what you're saying?
Kind of.
Well, very much so.
Yeah.
You can't tell the difference between a flu virus and COVID.
Well, the COVID-19 was just another flu virus, in my opinion. It's just another, maybe a nasty version of it, but it's
all right. For the most part, yes. Okay. But you still have this issue with these foreign proteins that aid infection. And by the way, the other part I didn't get to talk about is spike proteins. All right. Don't want to go there now. But the point is that, yes, there was a whole system. The problem is they thought it was going to shed better.
Okay, so it aids an infection. Wait a minute now. It aids an infection, but does it make it more severe or more likely you're going to die from it? Or does it just aid an infection?
It makes the infection easier to happen.
Okay, but it doesn't make it more severe where you might die more likely, though.
No, this
okay.
Is
so there you go. Now my theory works with your theory.
Hold on. There's still the issue of the mRNA component. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
There's never really anything to panic about or hide in your house about. That's really what I'm getting at.
Yes. Okay. So I mean, I got to be
crazy after all.
When I keep yammering about mRNA, that's from the vaccine that was developed. Okay. There was no mRNA to talk about with respect to the so-called COVID virus.
Right. Okay, that has to do with the vaccine, right?
All right. So yes. So and so the point here is you had false diagnoses, people being killed because of medical mismanagement, right? And all of this was being bundled together to create this fear mongering that you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I just putting a more fine point on your point. All right.
We're not that far apart after all.
Yes.
Yeah, perhaps they had to do. I get what you're saying. They had to do something to change the virus to create a separate entity to create a diagnosis, something that could be pointed to as this is our pandemic type of thing. Right?
Well, or
that's different than
I feel like you're mushing two things together. So first, there's the virus. Okay. Right. So what you need to understand again is that if we're talking about a COVID virus, the COVID virus that you're looking at in May was not the COVID virus you were looking at in April. Okay. They mutated. All right. And if you remember later on, there was a lot more talk about mutation because finally there are too many mutations to ignore. They had to acknowledge that. So this gets into classic epidemiology. And it's true here as it's been true everywhere else. What typically happens, and this is why biological warfare is overrated. Okay. So they, in principle, would have had a virus in China that was virulent, that was highly infectious, made a lot of people sick, and probably killed a lot of people. And there is evidence to that effect. Okay. The same thing happened in America and other parts of the world, but not to the same degree that it happened in China. All right. So this is sort of a basic argument here. And in the fullness of time, I mean, by a year later, there are so many different variants in these mutations that it did not have the virulence that the original strain had. It was much more mild. All the more reason to say, calm down, stop panicking.
Right.
You can take the masks off. You don't need the
your
shot.
country, please.
Right.
So, all right. With that, I think I have to cut short. I have to get busy.
What time is it now? We have 41.
It's a little bit short tonight. I just have too much to do, and I need to sleep before tomorrow. I'm going to be up till probably easily 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. Well, you know what? In the meantime, why don't you can go.
You're going to get your son busy tomorrow, too. He's going to be busy starting tomorrow for a little while.
I know. He alluded to that. So I want to carry on a little bit with DJ Ricky here, and then I'll sign off.
You go for it. I'm going to say good night. Carry on. Carry on.
All right.
And for Common Sense News Entertainment and Yankee T News and Jason Douglas, that's me.
Yeah.
Goodbye, everybody.
All right. There you go.
Take care.
All right. Manana. Right. You need your sleep. You need your beauty sleep.
You need to work and then sleep.
Speaking of which, okay, well, so yes, he's got, boy, I mean, you'd be amazed at the work he has to do. So, DJ Ricky, I would like to talk about virus one day. Too much say to chat, but it's not what you think. Well, you know, viruses are such, I mean, I have to admit, by the way, there are 3 or 4 things in biology that have always particularly fascinated me. Algae, diatoms, viruses, and mitochondria. Those are my top 4. So of the viruses, there's, I mean, when you think about this, it's called there's a term for it. So what got me was that viruses stand at the edge of life, right? You have this thing that floats around. See, there are 2 definitions, 2 things that define life: growth and reproduction. So the virus, in order to grow and reproduce, needs a host. So that makes it a parasite. And as such, in bacteria, I'll just say it. Yes, bacteria. I mean, cell biology in general. I mean, it's just the whole. I mean, it's all amazing. In the case of the bacteria, I wish to bring up bacteriophages, Phage. So the famous one is the T4 phage, which we have seen in many a picture, right? It shows the capsule, the base, the little spindly legs that stick out. And so that is a particular phage known to attack primarily E. coli. Okay. But there is a book. Oh my goodness. I have a copy of this book. There is what we'll call there are certain biology books that in a sense are classics. They deserve a special place on your shelf. And this book was one of them. 25,000 different kinds of phages. So phages, by definition, are viruses that specialize in attacking bacteria. Okay, lots of different kinds of bacteria, so maybe I shouldn't be surprised there are lots of different kinds of viruses that attack those bacteria. But the part that is so astonishing is the structural variation. They look so different from each other, and they take on these complex patterns. It's like, from a very strict evolutionary point of view, what is the benefit? What is the evolutionary benefit to a phage that has all these extra doodads hanging off of it? It's a function of the fact that we don't know, but still, it's just That alone is pretty amazing. So, let's see. 1 sec, writing it down. I look up. Yeah, okay. I don't know if I could. Well, I'll let you can do the searching. But yes, no, it's one of these things. So you had there are these people who are talented artists who love biology, and they will do these unbelievably detailed illustrations that are just a wonder to look at. That's what was done. This woman who just couldn't get enough of it would do these incredible drawings. So yes, and they remind you, look, this is what we saw under the microscope, right? So we have spared you the pain of having to stare into a microscope or try to sort out grainy, electron microscope images. So great. Okay, well, again, I have to make a note. So if you have trouble finding it somehow, I, the great Arthur Rodnowski, will find it. Okay, so while that's going on, I'm giving myself about another 10 or 15 minutes here, folks. So let's see. I want to grab some other things here. Yeah. Hunter, Jesus. Are you kidding me? Secret weapon sales to Iran. There you go. Yeah, so we're going to deal with that for a minute. Because this is going to be a big deal, right? Let's see, what's this? They arrested the attorney. I was happy to see Rob David Martin. Yeah. Did you see the trailer? They had about COVID-19. No. Arrested the attorney. All right. So to be clear, there's this guy who was an assistant to Fauci who's accused of, what am I looking for? Fraudulent manipulation of emails that are supposed to be within the federal system. Yeah. If that's what you're talking about. And so, yes, bring on more of that. Now, this is where I need to take a slight diversion. There was some person, I don't know if I can find them here. So on the YouTube channel, they sent me this very long, critical, what do I want to say here? Where's YouTube? Yoo-hoo. It's not on here. That can't be. Oh, there it is. Here it is. Okay. Let's see. So the handle is Gong Flow Yoga 3085. This is 2 hours ago. Pretty long, but the essence of it is that this person is accusing me of drinking the Trump Kool-Aid and not accepting that person's complaint that Trump is a part of the deep state, a secret part of the deep state, a pedophile ad nauseum. Okay. Yeah, I get it. So I'm a little bit more doubtful, but I want to pick up on the problems with this person's attack on us. Get off your knees. Stop swallowing the lies. Okay. Which lies? All right. So anyways, I did send a reply, and hopefully the person will get back to me at some point. I don't know. So this issue of lies, where do I start with this? So let's deal with the obvious part first. Does a deep state person swear up and down, back and forth, complaining endlessly about how the election was stolen from him in 2020? And by God, by golly, you can be sure they tried extra hard in 2024, but we knew they were coming. And we're able to do just enough things to keep the fraud from succeeding again. All right. Is that something a deep state person does? You're going to have to explain it to me. And if anybody's a member of the deep state, it's Comey, James Comey. How many times has President Trump referred to him as a dirty cop? Okay, as well as a member of the deep state. So you could say these are kind of like, I don't know, again, I like this phrase, shiny objects that are meant to distract us. But the allegations concerning election fraud are deep and serious as far as I'm concerned. So, Who's guilty of this election fraud? That's right, the deep state. So how can you be a part of the deep state while he's calling out one of the most fundamentally crooked things that the deep state did, which is to steal elections? Yeah, it's called political theater for a reason. Well, but which part? I see. I don't think you drink the Kool-Aid laughing out loud. No, well, I don't. I mean, I do try to. There are certain things I will provisionally accept as true. So let me just, if this person happens to be lurking around, whoever it is, excuse me, there is something that I subscribe to, even if it makes me very uncomfortable. There's a philosopher. His name is Karl Popper. And one of the things that he was famous for was what we'll call the falsifiability hypothesis, which was just, to put it in simplest terms, even the most fundamental scientific principle cannot be accepted as immutably true. Every law that anything we call a law could still be subject to change. I'll give you 2 examples. You actually have people sitting around who had the proper background, who are questioning what is called the gravitational constant. All right. The point is, see, this was the big insight from Newton, that if you, whether it's Mars, Moon, here, the rate of gravitational acceleration will follow a constant, which I believe was 9.8 meters per squared per second, if I remember correctly. Okay, well, the term constant implies that it's true everywhere in the universe. So, consistent with the falsifiability hypothesis, it may turn out that the gravitational constant is not the same everywhere. Now, I just want to add as a noted exception, for example, that you have in these Stranger of Science accounts reports of places like where water goes uphill. I think there's a place in New Mexico where you walk through and it just feels very weird. You feel like you're levitating, and it's not the only place on Earth. So you have places where the gravitational field seems to be dramatically modified. Okay, so this is not part of the scientific lexicon. This is not part of mainstream science thinking, but you have these things being reported, and it's enough to make me stop and say, maybe we need to rethink this. All right. And the same goes for the constant. So you've got mainstream academic types who, looking at, data from astronomical data and, tracking the motion of the stars, and they were asking the question, could it be that there are places in the universe where the gravitational constant is different? All right. Yeah. Okay. So that is as strong an example as any I can think of where you have to be able to suspend belief, be willing to think critically, and even accept things that you think are true as not being true. I mean, political truths, bullshit on that. You have stuff like that, and you're like, get back to me on that. Scientific truths, you got a whole other problem. All right, so let me give you the second example. I can tell you that around the discussion around the speed of light, originally Einstein was suggesting that the speed of light was fixed. All right, I'm not quite remembering, was it 253,000 miles per second or something like that? I haven't got it right. To see electromagnetic court, think ground and charge positive above. Rubber balloon, yes, I love play. When I taught science to kids, I had fun doing those things. So yes, and the sense is that it's not quite true, that there could be other speeds of light higher than what we call the limit for the speed of light. Not proven, okay, but you have people who are willing to question it, who are hardcore scientists, okay? The same guys who, when they were freshmen or in high school learning physics, and they had to answer what the absolute speed limit of light was, and they gave the right answer, knowing they may have to come back to this later. So, okay, so those are 2 pretty good examples of, what constitutes grist for the falsifiability hypothesis, courtesy of that famous philosopher, Karl Popper. Okay, so that kind of attitude still has to be brought to Donald Trump. Everything he says, claims of the deep state, the claims the deep state make, the things that the media say. Okay, me, I'm a constant, inveterate reader. I read everything and everybody I can find, whether it's Victor Davis Hanson or somebody else. And you have to read it and just say, yeah, they got it right. I mean, it's kind of like the argument I had with Jason, okay, when he was talking about COVID. There are things he was saying that just were not right. I mean, so you kind of, it's you understand something, but you understand it enough to misunderstand it. And so that's where we got into our little to do here. Let's see, love Victor, yeah, but sometimes he goes off the rails. Well, hey, you know what? I'm jealous. He decided to get a classical education. If I had time for it, I'd be spending a lot more time in a classical education like him. Oh my goodness. Hey, JK. Wait, did you just check in now, JK? What? Where have you been, boy? All right. Yeah. So what do I do with this stuff? It just you have to be able to hang things in suspension. You have to be able to say this might not be true. Okay. So whoever this person was who wanted to attack me, I don't buy all the lies. And by the way, I'll remember the response to that person. I mean, if you've been following me at all, I have cut Pam Bondi no slack, not one. In fact, from one of my podcasts, I had put up a report card for her, and I can assure you she had quite a list of failing grades. She was awful, okay? The stuff with Epstein that's just the most obvious part of where she was so screwed up. And here's the part, I don't know if you followed this. And I'm going to say, now, I don't know if this is true, but somebody wrote this and you have to ask, maybe. Okay. Pam got fired. Now, before I do the follow-up, I want to remind you somebody else got fired. Kristi Noem. Okay? Kristi Noem is still a part of the federal government in a new sort of, I don't know, special assistant ambassadorial role of some kind, fighting crime. Okay. Is that where Pam ended up? No, they say. No. I have to pause for no other reason than I'm about to get sick. I am told that Pam joined a Democrat-based law firm. Okay? I don't remember the name, but it was one of the better known, what they call white shoe law firms. And there Pam is working. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how you spell treason or deep state, but I spell it working for a Democrat white shoe law firm. And that is apparently where Pam Bondi may have ended up. So, in hindsight, should we be surprised? Not at all. Not at all. Okay. And it just shows you how hard it is to trust people. There's so many who, in various ways, have infiltrated into the right-wing conservative realm, even the modest realm. I'm a moderate realm. So it's a big problem. I mean, I don't think we even grasp the dimensions of the challenge before us if we're going to restore government that we can trust. It's huge. Ah, yes, Thomas Sowell, good man. You know, anybody who's read Thomas Sowell, my goodness, he qualifies. Just to make the point. Hold on, I'm sorry. Oh, wow, that cold. There are people who are true intellectuals. They think deeply, they think consistently, they think relentlessly. They do their research. They're able to put together a consistent picture that blows away the standard narrative. That, ladies and gentlemen, is Thomas Sowell. Okay? It's too bad he's so old. It's too bad. I think he's probably still got it together, but I'm sorry, he's so old, he's in decline. But his body of work will stand, and it is just incredible. So this is a guy who would be in my top 5 list of people you must read if you're going to understand the truth about this country. Yeah. So just saying, since you mentioned Thomas Sowell. Anyway, we're coming to the end of this hour, and I have got so many things to do, not unlike him. So, I mean, I'll just mention it. There's a group I'm working with as an education council. And yesterday we met to work on two things. One is to put together what amounts to a preliminary policy proposal / political messaging proposal for Betsy McCoy on education. So there's like top 5 things that we want to point to that she should be emphasizing. So that's one I got to try and work on tonight. And the other, if I still have the energy, I think it's getting late, is that Ned Lamont needs a letter from us about the anti-homeschooling bill. There are so many things wrong with that bill. I don't even know where to begin, but I will just say, one of the notes to him is that this is what you call camel nose legislation. You know, there's the old saying about the camel sticking his nose in the tent, which is a way of saying that that's just the beginning of something worse that's about to happen. So this anti-homeschooling legislation has so many problems with it in terms of inviting more intrusiveness by more state agencies in the state of Connecticut. So my basic argument is you're going to be creating a can of worms that will just get worse long after you've left office. So nip it in the bud now. So, I mean, that would be my message to him now. And it is on that happy note that I'm going to call it an evening. So thanks for watching, guys. Tell all your friends. I'd love to see a bigger audience, just saying. Thanks again. All right, later.